Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and pop culture collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to our show of Dream Chasers and Wealth Makers. We are thrilled to be back in the studio today with a new episode of the Zandbergen Report. I'm proud to bring in the movers, shakers, and difference makers who are passionate about sharing what they have learned and what you need to know today. And today I am joined with my business partner, Letitia Berbaum. Tish, thanks for finding the show. It's a little bit of an inside joke, but she is here, and so thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Bart.
All right, so today's episode, we are going to talk about true wealth. And true wealth means a lot to Tish and I, because that's really the why of our business and our practice. It's why we do what we do with our clients. And through that, we have spent many years and come up with what we call the 8 tenets of true wealth. So we are going to go through them as time permits. And so here we go. When we talk about true wealth, a lot of people think as financial advisors, they come to us and it's like, okay, here's my money, do something with my money. And I think that one of the things that makes you and I different from others is that we dig down much deeper and take a very holistic approach. And
Yeah.
so what's important to money about you and kind of go down that path.
Right.
So the first tenet that we have is health. Because if you really think about things, first of all, health would be considered, in my opinion, the ultimate wealth. Because if you have your health, without your health, let me put this differently, without your health, all the money in the world isn't really going to make your life that much better.
Yeah, that's correct.
And what I have found, and you too, I'm sure, with some of your clients, is that most of people will spend a great deal of their life and their career in the pursuit of wealth at the expense of their health.
Yeah.
And then in the later years, trying to use all this money they've accumulated to try to regain your wealth. And, there comes a point where you really can't do that.
Right. Absolutely.
So, we've had several episodes just on health in general, but the concept of living a healthy lifestyle, making it a priority, really having it as a kind of beginning with the end in mind that, I want to be able to, spend those years and my later years healthy, moving, be able to spend time with family. I just think that's super, super important.
I agree. And I think that a lot of these definitions that we're going to talk about, you're being very specific on health specifically as we go through each one of these, but a lot of them are correlated to one another and they kind of connect to one another. And I think that when we talk about health, there's multiple elements, like your physical health, like how you're taking care of yourself. So then that way you have the energy to do your day-to-day, have the energy to spend time with the people that you want to spend time with. And health also means things that you can control and things that you can't control. And I think that all of that in consideration affects your true wealth, because if it's things that you can't control, for example, say like, a family member has an illness that you don't have control over, you can only spend so much money to try to fix that, but sometimes it's not fixable. And it's not about the dollars and cents you have in your bank account, but it's the time that you spend or the things that you're doing. Then if there's things that you can do in your own health to change those habits so you don't repeat what other people have done that are loved ones as well. So those are also additional elements of health, when you're talking about true wealth.
Yeah, this and all that I agree with. This next thing is kind of a personal share a bit. And so I have a personal vision statement that, I will usually a couple times a week I'll read. And what it is, it's a vision of my life in the future, so that I'm thinking about it will, and many times what I think about ultimately comes true. So
share with us.
Yeah. So this one states that when I'm 80 years old, I'm walking down the beach, holding Tina's hand, and afterwards we go to my birthday party, and the whole family is there.
That's great.
And the takeaway on that is, at 80, I'm healthy enough to I missed the part. I take a 1 mile walk on the beach.
Okay.
Part out. So I'm healthy enough to walk for a mile.
Yeah.
Right. Still in love with my wife, who's
Yeah.
there with me, and then my family still cares enough about me to come to my to my birthday.
I love that. And
Yeah.
even though that's what you say, I feel like there's no doubt in my mind that would happen. You do all the great things today to make sure that you ensure that success. So I love that you shared that with everybody. That's a personal share.
Total
Bart doesn't
personal
always
share.
do that. Takes a lot to pull that out of him.
So there's a big health component of that, right, with the walk, but that does kind of tie in a lot of things that we're gonna get into.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, and Tish, I want to make sure, I know that you've done a lot of interviews with people about this, so don't let me go too far without you sharing a story when it becomes applicable. Is that fair?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So tenet number 2 is family and friends. So there has been studies, and one that comes up all the time is that no one ever says on their deathbed, I wish I would have spent more time at work and less time with my friends and family.
Yeah.
Which is hard, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at you and I and Danielle here, our engineer. We like work, we do work, and we're focused and we're passionate about it. And it's a big part of our lives, I think, and who we are, and it is part of our true wealth. But
Yeah.
it shouldn't be at the expense of our family.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, I feel like, especially being a female business owner, that sometimes you juggle family or work. And I feel like at the end of the day, you don't have to make those choices as long as you incorporate both. And you don't have to conquer the world. And some things you do get to be part of, and some of the things that you don't get to be part of. But if you lean into those relationships and friendships that you've developed over the years, that's the stuff that you enjoy. And you enjoy spending time with these people that you get to work with, and you build great relationships. And that makes work more enjoyable. And I feel like a lot of times people leave work because they don't always love what they do. And I mean, I know personally I did that. I've left great jobs in the past that I'm like, I just don't love the people I work with. And it's not a healthy part of my life. And it's not even, it might pay well, but at the end of the day, it doesn't pay me well mentally, emotionally, physically. And those are the things intangible I feel like we're talking about today, the true wealth, those relationships that cause you to make changes. So I completely agree. True relationships, deep relationships, memories you get to create with people, moments in time, those are the things that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, and you just took one of the key words that I have on my notes here is the seeking deeper relationships.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we all have a sphere of we have a large sphere of people, acquaintances, you probably call them friends.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
But then as you go tighter into your sphere, I mean, I've heard before that if you can say that you have five really good friends in your entire life, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a lot, but if you really think about like who could you go to any time of the day, anytime,
Yeah.
like when you're lost and you need someone to get you from one place to another.
That's Bart for me. Bart and Brandon are my compasses that I have to call. Inside joke.
Yeah. No one else is going to laugh at that but you and I. Okay, so that was 2 tenets. Number 3. I use tenets or pillars, and people have different definitions. So I call it spiritual. So many people have different definitions. It could be religion. It could just be a relationship with a higher power, whatever that is for someone. But I think it's a recognition of a feeling or sense of belief that is greater than oneself.
Yeah.
And I read a book, it was about almost 2 years ago now, and it was a study of centurions. Mm-hmm. So I'd looked that up. People who are 100 years older or older.
That'll be me.
Well, let's hope so. And the study shows that 100% of them, every one of them, had a belief in a higher power, religion or something like that. I found that was pretty interesting because there's a lot of call whatever you want, non-believers or something. And not that it matters here, but there's 2 other things that every one of the centurions had in common. You know what that is, Tish?
No.
Okay. They all ate meat, so no vegetarians.
Okay.
And they all drank alcohol.
I'm fine with all that.
I once worked with someone that was no on all three.
Wow.
So I had to tell them the bad news.
They're not going to live to 100.
Nope.
Maybe 99.
Yeah, not 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, let's check in on them in about 15 years.
That's right. Okay. Next, number 4 is service. And service is, helping others, supporting the community, whether it's philanthropy, donation, actually spending time, but doing something for someone other than yourself for the benefit of others.
Yeah. And I want to just pause on this for a second. So I think service, in my opinion, a lot of our clients that you would say have abundance or excess of, let's say, assets, a lot of times, we get to a point that they're like, how much do you need? And that you're inward thinking. And then there gets to be a point in time, I think, for people, or maybe just people, it happens naturally, but they go outward and you realize how much joy you get from helping other people. I won't share their name, but, Bart and I have known this family for a very long time. And recently we just got some photos of a building that they paid for to be created in another country that's going to help villages of people because of their efforts. And it was it gave me chills when I saw the photos, because I was part of the whole process of watching them give the funds, get the funds in another country. That was a whole other process. And then building and watching the villagers come together and taking the photos of this whole evolution of this process. And now it's done. Now it's really the beginning, right, of this next chapter. But we've watched the evolution of this, of just, of their little seed of gift of how much is going to make a change in another country, another village, and other people's lives.
And I think an important point of that was the joy that they experience for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them, the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And, coincidentally, it's the same couple, but for Christmas, was it 3 years ago or so, what he wanted for Christmas was for his wife to donate 100 soccer balls to underprivileged kids in another country way far from here.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge to get the soccer balls there, but it made it, and that was great joy for him. That was his gift.
Yeah. So this year I've taken on a little pet project with, I give back to a lot of charities, but United Way specifically. And I like they do a lot of different causes, but one cause is here locally in Orange County. I like to make differences worldwide, but then also right back in my next door, just to make sure that everyone at the end of the day makes a difference. And we are kindergartners through third grade. So I have children who are second and third. So this is relates to me. Yeah. Underprivileged children, we're going to give them literacy packets. So books and crayons and writing and papers and pens, and we're going to go deliver it. And so far it's kind of just taken off. And now all these people behind me, just one person is starting to contribute and donate to this cause. And I had no idea. I'm just one person who saw the information, and the information is just spreading like wildfire, and how much of an impact we get to make, and getting to donate all of these things to help all of these children. So it's kind of a cool, and my behind the scenes me, I feel really amazing by doing it. It's the joy I get by giving. And and I think that's part of the true wealth is what we're kind of alluding to, but it's like a state of mind. It's how you're feeling. It's how you react to things in the world.
Mm-hmm. 100% agreed. And I think, to your point, the kind of the exponential or snowball growth when, like minds get together. So you're involved with those people, and then, someone else gets involved, and 2 becomes 4, becomes 8, and so on. And whether it's dollars or time or effort.
All of the above. Yeah. And then people get to give in whatever level that they feel comfortable with, like you said, dollars, times, or gifts.
Right. I mean, that's a big part of what we do in our practice, and a big part of what it's, I don't know if it was by design per se, but I don't know, I would say 99% of our clients, or in the high 90s, have this in common. So it's what we attract, I think.
Yeah. And kind of like bringing it back to what we do is we deal with that, though. We get to help people create a family legacy, and they could be super young and they can be at the later stages of their life that's creating this, but we get to be part of their gifts. We get to see where it's going. We get to hear the stories about it, and it's exciting for us to see the impact.
Well, it's funny you should say legacy.
Is that teeing up to the next one?
Yep. That's pillar number 5. And I didn't create this term, but I heard it many, many, many years ago, and I think it's one of the best descriptions of legacy, which is things that money cannot buy and death can't take away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you just really drill down on that, I think it's so powerful.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the story of your life, of one's life, or the impact one has had on others.
Yeah.
And that goes back, well, it uses service for sure.
Yeah.
You know, impact on family. So to your earlier point, most of these pillars are connected and woven together. They don't stand alone.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things too, and I try to do this wherever I go, whatever I do, but you know, just I learned this from the Boy Scouts. Leave a place a better place than before you arrived.
Yeah.
So in the simplest terms, when I was camping with the Scouts, make sure you clean up. But in life,
same principles apply.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. If you can, if you have a child and help that child bloom and become great, or have a company and the employees are done great, I think that's making the world a better place.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, legacy is a word that can go a lot of different directions. When you have wealth, sometimes people think, oh, I want my name on a building.
Yeah.
Or a college, university. Yeah. I want, one of the buildings to be named after me. We've seen it. Mm-hmm. We truly have seen it. Yeah. And that's one way of defining legacy. And then another way that you said that's creating true wealth could be, like you said, is the impact, the inspiration, the teachings, the intangible stuff that we keep on talking about that really ties everything together. And that is like, for example, I have seen clients that maybe they want their kids to take over a company and that they want their legacy of that. But at the end of the day, maybe they don't. Maybe that's just not a fit. Mm-hmm. But they get to love those kids the way that they are and have that relationship the way that they are. And at the end of the day, they get to work with people that do want to be part of it. And they get to still share those amazing virtues and values and things as a parent. They get to still share with those people and other people as well. So it kind of gets to go, full circle. And I've completely seen that. And so it's kind of a cool thing when you define legacy. You can kind of keep on breaking it down and creating your family wealth and your legacy.
Yeah, for sure. And this also reminds me of the family meetings that we've had to have a couple of generations, and when someone is fortunate enough to have the wherewithal or the assets to form a charitable fund of their own and to work with the family and the next generation to make sure that everyone, or to not make sure, but to see if everyone is aligned and have everyone be able to weigh in on what's important to them, and then to be able to exercise for each of the individuals what's important to them in the way of a legacy. Well,
and if let's just share a little bit, if we're okay with time, let's just share what that might look like. So every client and their children have a different relationship when it comes to, let's just talk about wealth and money. Money specifically, that's what we do with our clients. But sometimes children know they're older, and then they want to teach them the trades and making sure that they're savvy investors. And then there's others that are super young and they're just starting. And we've had family meetings that's been creating a mission statement. And it's as a family, we come in there, we create an environment that they get to be fun and creative, and then we have them come up with a mission statement, like you said, and come up with values that they all unite with. And then each time we have this meeting, we're reinforcing what they did before, and then we grow with that, and then we elaborate with that, and we ask them what they want to know about wealth or questions maybe they didn't get to have from their parents, and they get to ask as a free form, dialogue. And it's really an amazing opportunity for us to be able to teach that next generation, create a legacy, and then also, we probably don't even realize the impact that we're making in some of these families by them creating a mission statement as a family and then going out and doing those things together that meant so much for them. And everyone has a little bit different twist to that, but at the end of the day, it's what's meaningful for them, and we have been part of that impact, and that's such a cool experience for us to observe.
Yeah, it's been one of the best. If we look at the times that we've done that, it's been very fulfilling for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So the next one, number 6, is peace, P-E-A-C-E. So peace of mind. And I don't want to sound like weird or anything or freaky, but I think, tranquility, freedom from disturbance, because I won't say most of us, myself, wake up every day and, I have my routine, and then, there could be a level of anxiety or pressure or tension, stress for sure. And I think the ability to achieve, again, that freedom from disturbance and like really true peace is priceless.
Yeah. And I don't know if this really fits into your peace description, but I'm going to just put it in there anyway because it's the best place I feel comfortable at putting it. Is when I think of like ultimate like financial freedom and true wealth, it's when you say peace, it could be just the ability to do whatever you need to do. Flexibility could be that peace. It could be peace of mind to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, not be controlled to be able to do those things, and have I push back to the word freedom, but freedom and peace may be intertwined with one another, but just having that flexibility. And maybe that's just a calm mindset of saying, I can choose to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that's like a really powerful thing, I think, especially like my generation is very much, I think, like that. And I'm hearing a lot of that when I'm interviewing people of different conversations, and they really want that flexibility and that time to be able to say, okay, I choose to do what I want to do. And to them, it kind of parlays into your next one, so I'll wait.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this conversation of, I could choose to not do something financially if I don't want to do it, because that gives me the peace to do what I want to do.
So that kind of goes back to each one of these has a connection to the others. And so I think all you said makes sense. I think what you said makes a lot of sense in the next one, number 7, which is finally we're at money and finance. Seven pillars down. So one word that comes to mind, or 2 words, is financial independence. You and I talk about that all the time, and we'll define that in a minute. Yeah. Maybe a sense of abundance also creates the peace, maybe, and the flexibility of life. Yeah. So we're not saying as we go through this that you don't need money to have true wealth. I mean, I think money is really helpful in creating a lot of these things. The ability to help build a legacy to a certain degree, to serve others, to create this financial independence. But, right now it's at number 7. So it's maybe not the first and foremost, but it's certainly important. And so you and I define financial independence. A lot of our clients are coming in and they use the word retirement. Yeah. And, some will shoot for an age of 55, 60, 65, and then yet at the same time have no idea what they're going to do afterwards.
Oh my gosh, we see it all the time.
So, our definition is, why don't we use this term, give you the ability to wake up and know that you don't have to go to work today and make money. Yeah. If you want to go be a golf, caddy, or I don't know what golf caddies make, but or someone who picks up golf balls, or donate your time, or travel, or take 6 months off. That to me is flexibility. That's financial independence.
Yeah. And I would say 2 parts on that. So financial independence. When I have interviewed people, this is the number one thing that comes up when we talk about what do you define true wealth. They actually say financial independence. For them, it gives them the freedom to do what they want to do when they want to do it. Although I think that it's a really interesting dynamic you said. I think that the generation that's retiring now or already retired, and really more the conversations I hear that are getting ready to retire because we're doing maybe that kind of last, like, okay, how are we going to get there? What does that look like? Let's plan this out. And the moment that you say financial independence versus the R word, retired, the demeanor changes. They take a breath. You can just tell, like, their heart rate just slowed down a bit, and they're more comfortable. And I just feel like you might not notice it, or no, it's something just happens in the room or over the phone or over Zoom, whatever the conversation is. But it happens almost every single time. And it's almost like it kind of gives them this peace of mind, knowing that, okay, I don't have to make a definitive choice right now of, do I want to stop working? And maybe that's something that's defined them. And then I like have to, hang out with my wife all day. Like, that's cool, but that's a whole new world versus maybe I come up with a wonderful hobby or a second job or consulting or whatever that is it looks like for them. But then it's a path. It's a glide path. So then they have maybe more energy. It helps them with that.
So I was at a birthday party this last weekend. She's retiring from a very job that she doesn't really like, but has a great pension.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to work. Her husband is very well to do.
Yeah.
And her dream is to go work at Rogers Gardens in the
artist section. I love that.
As she calls it, retirement.
That's so great. It's such a great opportunity.
Yeah. So that's more along the lines of what we're talking about.
And so I want to add to the younger generations. So millennials, I hear a complete opposite. So I feel like I could be, and I'm making a general statement, so this isn't everybody, but people are willing to say, I don't want a house. I don't want to be tied down. I want flexibility. I want freedom. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. That's kind of like the marching orders. That's kind of like what they stand here and say, this is how I'm going to show up. And not everyone, again, but I've heard this quite a bit. And that being said, I think that that's also really neat. They're taking it the totally different direction, but they're not letting one job define them for years and years and years. They're giving themselves the freedom to be able to choose, be creative, change, be flexible, which is kind of cool. Also, at the same time, it's the same thing, financial freedom. It's having enough money to be able to do what you want to do, to enjoy your life, to be able to have the freedom, have the flexibility without worrying about, oh, geez, can I pay for this? Am I going to be okay? Like that right there, that peace of mind, that's when money is a tool. Financial, I want to make that clear. Money is a tool to be able to get you from point A to point B. And it does open doors, makes things like lending easier, but it doesn't have to be a defining moment.
Yeah, 100%. All right. We barely enough time, and we have one more.
Cool.
And it's one of my favorites, and I actually have to give credit to my wife, Tina, on this one, because we had over the last couple of years, she kept using this word, and it finally just kind of resonated with me as to what it was and how important it is. And she coins it, the invisibles. So, your child comes up and gives you a hug for no reason and says, Papa, you're my superhero.
That's
right?
awesome.
That's an invisible. You can't buy it. You can't create it. It's just, a beautiful sunset or things that you can't.
Moments in time.
Moments you can't really quantify. You can't pay for it. There's no amount of money that could get anything like what I would call an invisible.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have invisibles in your life?
Oh, absolutely. I have so many invisibles.
I think experiences too. And I know that the older that I get, there's less things that I need and more experiences that I want to do. Now, we're in a life and time where experience and travel aren't quite what it used to be, but still that kind of thing.
Yeah, experience has been So for me personally, money has driven me to have financial freedom and experiences. And so like when I first met my husband, we traveled all over the world. Literally, we traveled all over the place, and that was just part of what we wanted to do. And we didn't need to stay at 5-star hotels. We didn't need to travel first class. We just wanted to get there and enjoy and learn the culture, know what they were eating, see what they were saying, try to like figure it out, go to the local shops and people watch, or, go to Paris, go to a coffee shop in the rain, watch people and have a cup of coffee. Like to me, maybe that's that's an experience, but that's a moment in my time, in my life that I'm going to be like, that's some of the best memories of my life, because you can't say, oh my gosh, I was doing X, Y, Z, that it was so expensive. But at the end of the day, that's an experience that I cherish.
Yeah. And experience and a memory that will last well beyond, a new pair of shoes.
Although I do like
Not that
my
you
shoes.
don't have a large collection of shoes. What did we miss? Anything you want to make sure we add?
I think that a lot of the things that we talked about at the end of the day kind of relate to one another. And when everyone defines true wealth, I think slightly different, which is kind of a cool thing to do, is to know that, and maybe I can just share this is actually what's inspiring me to write a book. I'm putting it out there, but I am writing a book on the side of saying, I'm interviewing people, and independent people, I have no idea who they are, and asking them, have them define true wealth and how we can create generational wealth. And things that I ask them is like, even about what books you read that inspired you. What advice would you give to a high school kid? Or if you were going to like talk to your younger self, what would you tell them to advise them to do something different? And it's really interesting. A lot of the answers are totally different, and some are they're the same. So it's an interesting dynamic. And I think that this topic will continue to evolve, but I think you nailed it in the very beginning. We are not just fixated on the asset allocation and what models our clients are invested in. We really care about our clients, and everything regarding their finances all kind of comes together, and it's one package, and it all is intertwined, right? Their taxes affect their estate planning, their children. Something can come up with their children and all of a sudden cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to private school. And they're like, well, maybe we're working a couple extra years, but that's what we're going to do because we love our children, and that's a sacrifice we're willing to make. So it's things like that we kind of go on the journey with the clients, and that's the fun part.
Yeah. And I would encourage listeners to, think about true wealth. I mean, these are our pillars, if you will, and maybe they'll have their own definition. It would be great to hear from people as to what, they can add on to what we said, or maybe they have something that, we've left out, or their own definition.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely challenge anyone to listen, is add their interpretation of true wealth and send us a message or a link or email us. And we actually read them and we enjoy them.
All right. Well, if that's it, I want to thank everyone who has tuned in this week. And Tish, thanks for coming in. And we look forward to being back in the studio next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting podcast.bartzandbergen.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show, or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. The contents of this podcast episode do not constitute an offer of securities or a solicitation of an offer to buy securities, and may not be relied upon in making an investment decision related to any investment offering Access Wealth Management LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Access does not warrant the accuracy or completeness of the information contained herein. Opinions are our current opinions and are subject to change without notice. Prices, quotes, rates are subject to change without notice. Generally, investments are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value. Brokerage services are offered through Tessera Capital, member FINRA.